Viking sailors crossed 3,000 miles of the most violent ocean on Earth, 500 years before Columbus, without a single compass. Okay, let that sink in for a second. No GPS, no weather app, no radar, no Coast Guard, no backup plan. Just you. A wooden boat roughly the size of a school bus, 40 seasick warriors who haven't showered in 3 weeks, and an ocean that has absolutely zero interest in whether you live or die. The North Atlantic isn't just rough water, people. This is the same stretch of ocean that has swallowed oil tankers whole. The same water where waves can hit 60 feet tall. The same region where hypothermia kills a healthy adult in under an hour if you fall in. And the Vikings didn't just survive this crossing. They did it repeatedly. They colonized Iceland. They settled Greenland. They reached North America, a place they called Vinland. And they did all of this while navigating with techniques so sophisticated that modern scientists still argue about how they worked. So here's your survival challenge for today. You are a Viking ship captain. The year is approximately 1000 AD. You're somewhere in the open North Atlantic, 3 days from your last landfall, and you have a massive problem. The sky has been completely overcast for 48 hours. No stars. No sun. No visible horizon half the time. Your crew is getting nervous. Supplies are finite. And you need to figure out which direction is north right now, or you're going to sail in circles until you run out of food, fresh water, and luck. 3 methods sit before you. Only one is historically accurate and actually works. Which do you choose? All right, here are your 3 choices. Pay attention, because one of these keeps you alive, one of these gets you embarrassingly lost, and one of these gets you killed. Possibly by your own crew. Vikings were not patient people. Choice A. You use a sun compass, a circular wooden disc with a shadow pin in the center, calibrated with notches around the edge. You wait for any brief break in the clouds, catch the shadow, match it to your pre-marked calibration lines, and determine your latitude and bearing from the sun's arc across the sky. Choice B. You navigate by whale migration patterns and bird behavior. You've heard that certain whales travel predictable routes near Iceland, and that specific seabirds fly toward land at dusk. You follow the wildlife, trusting nature as your guide. Choice C. You use a sunstone, a mysterious translucent crystal that, according to Norse sagas, can locate the sun even through clouds and fog by detecting the polarization of light. You hold it up to the sky, rotate it slowly, and look for a glowing spot that reveals where the sun is hiding. Sun compass. Animal navigation. Sunstone. Think about it. I'll give you 10 more seconds. Still thinking? Good. Let's break these down. Okay, you went with the sun compass. Classic move. Round wooden disc, shadow pin in the center, notched calibration marks around the edge. And here's the thing. It's real. A fragment was discovered in Greenland in 1948. It's genuinely impressive Viking technology. Here's your problem. The sun compass requires sunlight. The shadow pin casts a line you align with pre-carved calibration marks. It works beautifully when the sun is out. You've had solid overcast for 48 hours. The sun compass is currently about as useful as a sundial in a basement. You hold it up confidently. Your crew watches. Nothing happens. Someone in the back of the boat clears their throat meaningfully. Now you're doing what every bad navigator does. Guessing, but holding a tool while you do it. That false confidence is more dangerous than just admitting you don't know. This is the third best answer. Not completely wrong, but relying on it exclusively in cloudy North Atlantic weather is a rookie mistake the real experts had already solved. You don't die immediately. But you're off course, supplies are burning, and your crew is starting to have conversations about you when they think you're asleep. Oh, you're going full nature documentary on this one. I respect the creativity. There's a kernel of historical truth here. Viking sailors did observe wildlife. The legendary Floki Viljartharson reportedly brought caged ravens to Iceland. When released, ravens fly toward land, giving you a directional clue. So the concept isn't crazy. Here's where it falls apart completely. Whales don't give you a compass bearing. Bird behavior is a coin flip without knowing the species and context. And even if everything goes right, a pod of whales swimming consistently, a raven flying purposefully toward land, you still don't know which direction is north. You're doing a math problem with letters missing. You're not dying heroically. You're dying because you tried to ask a whale for directions and the whale had somewhere to be. Your crew is no longer whispering. They're talking at normal volume. Now this is where it gets interesting. You pick up the sunstone, a piece of translucent crystal, roughly the size of a bar of soap, slightly yellowish or whitish in color. It's mentioned in Norse sagas, specifically the Raudolfsstatter from the 11th century, which describes King Olaf using a solar stone to locate the sun on a heavily overcast day. For centuries, historians thought this was basically magic, folklore. Viking mythology dressed up to sound practical. Then in 2013, scientists found something extraordinary. A crystal was recovered from an Elizabethan-era shipwreck off the coast of Alderney in the English Channel. A ship that went down in 1592. It was identified as Icelandic spar, a naturally occurring calcite crystal with a very specific optical property. It's doubly refractive. When you hold Icelandic spar up to the sky, even a completely overcast sky, it splits incoming light into two beams. Those two beams have different brightness depending on the polarization angle of the light reaching you. And here's the key. Scattered sunlight, even when the sun is completely hidden behind clouds, still retains its polarization pattern based on where the sun actually is. When you rotate the crystal slowly, at a specific angle, the two beams become equal in brightness. That precise orientation points you directly toward the hidden sun. You've just located a star you can't see, using physics that wouldn't be formally described by scientists for another 800 years. Researchers at the University of Rennes tested this in 2013. Skilled users could locate the sun within plus or minus 1 degree of accuracy, even in dense overcast. 1 degree. For context, modern recreational GPS operates within about 3 to 5 meters. The Vikings were hitting within 1 degree of true solar position using a rock they found on the ground in Iceland. And it gets better. That accuracy is so impressive that the United States Navy has recently studied Icelandic spar as a potential backup navigation system for scenarios where GPS is jammed or unavailable. The Department of Defense is literally studying Viking rock navigation for 21st century warfare. Let that land. It works in fog. It works at dusk. It works at dawn. It works in exactly the conditions the North Atlantic throws at you. Because in the North Atlantic, clear skies are the exception, not the rule. And the man using it wasn't just a captain. He was called a leiðsögumaður, roughly, a route story man. He had spent decades memorizing the color of water at certain latitudes, the behavior of swells near distant landmasses, the smell of different ocean zones. The ocean smells different near the Arctic ice pack. The swells have a different rhythm near island groups. A skilled Norse navigator was reading all of this constantly, every hour, every day, cross-referencing it in real time. The Sunstone was one instrument in a human navigation computer that took a lifetime to build. When researchers recreated the North Atlantic crossing using these historically accurate methods in a 2016 expedition, the average position error was smaller than many 18th century European navigational methods. 700 years of European maritime development, and the Vikings were still competitive. Wrap your head around that. This is your answer. You hold up the crystal. You rotate it slowly. You find your sun. You set your bearing. Your crew looks at you the way people look at someone who just parallel parked a truck on the first try in Manhattan. Nobody is whispering about mutiny anymore. The correct answer is choice C, the Sunstone. And And before anyone gets upset about choice A, yes, the sun compass was absolutely real and absolutely used. But elite Viking navigators used multiple systems simultaneously. The sun compass, the sunstone, stellar navigation, dead reckoning, wildlife observation, each covering the weaknesses of the others. In the specific scenario we set up, overcast for 48 hours, the sunstone is the only tool in your kit that still functions. This is the difference between knowing history as trivia and knowing history as operational knowledge. So what does this have to do with your actual life? The Viking navigator didn't wait for perfect conditions. He had built multiple overlapping systems so that when one failed, and something always fails, he had another and another. The sunstone works when the sun compass doesn't. The seabird gives a hint when the sunstone can't distinguish two close bearings. Dead reckoning fills in the gaps between all of them. Each piece is mediocre alone. Together, they're formidable. The question worth sitting with: when your main system fails, what's your sunstone? Which choice did you pick, and why? Did you go with choice A and trust the tool you've heard of before? Did you go with choice B and follow your gut? Or did you somehow already know about the sunstone and went straight to C like a smug history nerd? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell me if this changed how you think about Viking history. And if you want to make it interesting, tell me what your own personal sunstone is. What's your backup system that works when your main plan fails? Best answer gets pinned. And if you want to keep testing your survival instincts, next week we're asking, could you survive as a Roman legionnaire crossing the Sahara Desert on a military campaign? The march is 30 miles a day. The temperature is 115 degrees. And your commanding officer has just made a catastrophically stupid decision. Do you follow orders? Do you speak up? Or do you quietly do something that could save the century and court-martial yourself in the process? It's messier than the Viking one. I promise. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And seriously, check your navigation systems. The North Atlantic doesn't care about your excuses. See you next week.